Hey, you are listening to the Growth Signal, and we are so excited to have this great conversation about what the future of customer relationships looks like. And as you know, we start with the one opening question. Katie, what is your hot take?
Yeah, for me, my hot take, just kind of poking into all the different avenues that I pay attention to when specifically it accounts for customer success. I'm really finding it interesting how much negativity is going towards customer success, recently, at least in the last 6 months, because I don't want to forget in the whole conversation that's going on, how critical it is and how critical of a role it plays in driving growth and retention.
It's funny that you say that because I swear I open up LinkedIn every other day and it's either someone saying customer success is dead or some
Yeah.
variation on that theme. And I am seeing a lot of people in customer success kind of bagging on customer success, right? Like the people who should be the biggest proponents of the value it brings, and yet they're kind of ragging on it too. So, I mean, what's the deal with that? Why do we think that that's happening?
I'm scratching my head myself. I saw, somebody post the other day about how CEOs are asking or consciously saying they're not going to hire people who have been in customer success to do customer success because they think that for some reason that's not the way to go. And it really is interesting to me. My first thought is, well, maybe the CEOs maybe need to not be a CEO because if you don't inherently understand that these people have spent their life trying to pursue what creating a wonderful customer experience can be to help you drive growth for your bottom line, then you're missing the point altogether. And I sometimes think it has to do with this whole instant gratification that we have now that we can get everything instantly. A lot of times when you're looking at customer growth and retention, it is not an overnight process. It is not, hey, my sales team is now going to go get leads from XYZ website. No, this is something you gradually have to make changes of. You have to show your customers that you are in it to help them and not about yourself. And so for me, I don't understand it personally. And this is, I for me have worked on both sides. I spent over 10 years in sales and sales leadership. I understand the ICP, the trying to get the deal closed, the going after forecasting, the trying to make your number on a quarterly, annual basis. And then I also understand the hey, what happens when you get the deal done and throw it over the fence and all the things that it takes to make someone successful using what you sold them and trying to deliver a dream that you didn't even sell. You trusted your teammate to sell it for you. So, anyways, I don't get it personally.
I wonder how much of it is just like a branding issue, right? Like we've branded customer success in a certain way, and what
Yeah.
the way it's coming across is not necessarily a reflection of how hard it is to truly be great at customer success, right? Because CS is a people thing. You are maybe having them adopt a technology, but at the end of the day, this is people using it. So you have to really think about how do you do the change management side of things. And
Yeah.
sales, for all its branding issues, right? Like nobody loves sales, right? But they have at least gotten the brand attribute of, "Hey, sales is hard, and when they achieve something, they should get celebrated for it, and it's hard work, and it's difficult work, and you're trying to get people
Mhm.
to do things." But CS hasn't gotten the same benefit of that, like, this is real hard strategic thinking work. Instead,
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of people that I talk to get shoved into you're just, there to do the onboarding, and then the product will speak for itself without reflecting on the fact that human beings are much more complicated than our onboarding, SOPs make it seem.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think it is a branding issue. And I think it's twofold. I think you're right. Sales and marketing, I'm going to loop them in there together because it's kind of the trifecta of sales and marketing. Marketing plays in both the pre and the post sale. And then you've got your customer success. And you're right. They have been branded as they're getting it done, they're getting the deal closed. But I think they're branded as doing that because it's really easy to say, I need you to achieve $400,000 and you either do or you don't.
Right.
I need you to achieve getting 52 leads from five different sources and you either do or you don't. But we're also going to give you all the budget for it that you need to get it done.
Right.
where you see customer success kind of getting looped in under this customer support model. And I think to some degree we've done it to ourselves. A lot of people said, hey, we're going to rebrand internally customer support. When I was working on a system and we were looking at all the different job titles for customer success, there were over 400 different job titles. There was no consistency. So
That
think
doesn't
about that.
surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Like,
When
the
you
number of
that wide of a
people.
range.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it shouldn't, I don't think it should be that way, right? Because
Agree.
if you can't define yourself and define your
Mhm.
value and define your role, then someone else is gonna define it for you, and you're
Yes.
probably not gonna like how they phrase it.
Yes, because it's all what their interpretation is, and you have to work that much harder, to, I guess, rebrand yourself internally and externally. So I know that in the past, we've really looked at trying to specify charters. This is what we do and we don't do. It's just like sales. It's just like marketing. This is what we do. This is what we don't do. I think it's harder in customer success because what did I hear somebody deem it at an event that I was at? Customer success is like sales with a heart. So we'll go a little bit of the extra mile because we really, really we know that if we don't do that, then we inherently won't be able to get the customer to, contribute to wanting to grow further or giving us the name of the other person in the organization that we could possibly also help with the solution that we're trying to, put in front of them. And so, yeah, I think in addition to that, some things that have probably hurt customer success is not having the operational rigor of having to do forecasting, having to understand what is the forecasting methodology for a post-sales motion past just AR or, annual or GRR, excuse me, and NRR. And then you get the, hey, where can we attribute customer success? Really sorry, I'm getting all excited here, Alyssa.
That's what we
How
love.
do
We love to
we
hear it.
yes. How do we show that the customer success team is inherently we give the attribution to them for the growth that they're helping to achieve? It's like it's scratching the surface and not enough companies and organizations are doing that. So then you're left with how do we compensate our customer success team? And they're just going to do it all. They just do it all for our defense. We don't care. Just get it done. But by the way, if you don't get done, I've also seen it doesn't matter if we fix the product. You can only do so much humanly as a customer success person to do every workaround possible to keep the customer wanting to continue to be with you. So, anyways,
Well, you said something like sales customer success is sales with a heart, right?
mhm,
My immediate reaction though is like I heard a quote one time and I'm not even gonna try to attribute it because I can't remember who said it, but the idea that what you measure is
mhm,
what you value, and what you value is what matters to your company, and what you can measure gets managed, right? That whole concept of how do
yeah,
you measure it? And I think that's one of the pieces that customer success in particular is missing is they don't have the, "Hey, you brought in 52 leads, we asked you for 50, you overachieved, good job." They don't
mhm,
have those hard cash numbers assigned to them, and it's almost like some don't want those numbers assigned to them because they don't want the accountability that goes along
true.
with it.
Yeah.
But you also give up the ability to directly point to your value as a measurement and how it matters to the company and to the brand.
Yes. I think that's a really good point. I think that, again, not growing up with the operational rigor of sales. And that's where I think I differentiate myself because I had to give the number all the time. So it's me thinking about a post sales motion. How do I help the organization I'm working for? How do I help the internal team operationalize in the post sale what we are contributing, whether we, are the people that hold the quota for the growth or not, which I'm kind of with you or with whomever says that, you have the altruistic person who is doing it because they simply just want to be the trusted advisor that is doing and speaking on behalf of the customer and fighting for them versus I don't really agree that customer success should hold a sales quota. Just don't think that they should. And the reason in being is because I think there is a psychological barrier to being a trusted advisor when you have the what can you do for me mentality.
So one of the things though that I want to ask you about, you just said that you don't think CS should have a quota. So if they don't have a quota and they don't have a goal in terms of like they're connected to impact and revenue, how do we put a number out there and help them
Yeah.
start to build operational rigor?
So I think a quota is different. than having a goal. And what I mean by that is you can operationalize your customer success team by having them track the amount of, I call them CSQLs and CSQOs. And there's a differentiation between the two. If you have a customer that you're speaking with and they say, hey, Joe Schmo over in this department might be a good person to talk to about using your product, that's a customer success lead that you pass over to sales. I call a customer success qualified opportunity. Hey, guess what? We need to purchase 7 more seats because we are bringing and increasing our headcount due to a new product line. Okay. That's an opportunity that right away you pass over to your sales team and get, they can take care of the paperwork, the closing, the negotiation, and whatnot. So essentially, you could have a goal of, hey, we really need for you to get to at least 10 opportunities. And we'd like for you to, try to get 10 opportunities for 100K. Well, we're not going to give you this pressure of you have to then go negotiate the deal. You then have to go create the pricing. You then have to go back and forth with the customer and the procurement team because that takes time away from driving the value that you initially were hired to do. But there's no problem with being able to attribute that, hey, if it weren't for me, the relationship that I have, then I would not have been able to serve up these 10 opportunities to my sales counterpart. So why can't we quantify that?
Let me just play devil's advocate for a second though, because
Yeah.
you said, like, we set a goal of, hey, let's just say 10 opportunities, $100,000. If you don't have the psychological safety with your boss though, because to me, a goal
Mhm,
without some kind of
mhm,
accountability for not making that goal, that's just a wish, a dream, a hope, right? And
mhm.
and I don't get paid as much as I wish I could on wishes and dreams and hopes. And if my boss sets that goal, is it really just a goal or is it a quota in disguise? I guess I will ask.
Yeah. No, I guess you could say it's potentially a quota in disguise. But here's the thing. I do think you have to figure out the compensation on any of that upsell that you have been able to do. I think that you can have a goal of getting enough CSQOs or CSQLs, but I don't think you have to feel like your job is in jeopardy if you don't go there. That's
Okay.
the above and beyond. And naturally, all of this should be really easy if you have created a great relationship with the customer. But beyond that, you are showing them that the product is delivering value and helping them drive their outcomes.
Yeah,
Those
100%.
things that I'm talking about, the CSQOs and CSQLs, they should just come naturally. That's the whole point of what you're trying to do, either from a human perspective and being customer success, from a digital perspective, doing customer success. If the product is there and it's doing what it needs to do, then this shouldn't even be a question, but it is a way for you to show the attribution that you're delivering above and beyond for the organization when it comes to the growth and retention that they're trying to drive.
So if I'm a leader and I
Yep.
want to get started creating this
Mhm.
CSQLs and CSQOs,
Yep.
what is the first thing you would have me start doing?
So the first thing that I would have you start doing is tracking them. So as soon as you receive them, preferably you hopefully have a system. It could be Salesforce, HubSpot, Gainsight, whatever system that you have that you are tracking any of your post sales activity. Create a lead source just like you would for the sales team. You go in, you say, here's a lead, label it. So then you're able to quantify it at the end of the day. And you're able to go back and see on a monthly basis, this is what my team has been able to deliver. In addition to that, you take that process and you ensure that you wrap in and collaborate with your sales team because leads don't matter if the team isn't going to take them seriously and follow up on them. And that's a whole nother bag of worms. But I think if you get that collaboration together and they can see, and the whole organization can see the work that you're doing towards that, it can be a really powerful thing. And I
Well,
say this because I experienced how we delivered 72 leads and over $2 million in pipeline to the sales team in my past organization.
and I like that you said, "Hey, the first thing you're gonna do is just start tracking it and putting it into some kind of a system,"
Yes.
because that gives you such a great baseline,
Yeah.
right? Of, like, where you are. I was working with a client who they were doing, a brand health study,
Hmm.
and so we're a research company. We did the research for them to basically they were gonna go into a new market, And in their minds, they were a, let's just say it's out of 100, a 25 out of 100 on their brand health score. Brand new market, but we're not starting
Mhm.
from nothing. We did the study and discovered actually they were closer to like 5 or 6. So for them, getting to 25 was a huge win. Whereas they went
Yes.
into that market thinking, oh, we're starting at a 25. And they would have been disappointed with a 26, right?
Yeah.
And so being able to set the baseline and have a true understanding of where you're at, because if you're at, 1 to 2 qualified
Yep.
opportunities and you
Yeah.
go to 10, that's incredible. But if you think you're at 10 and you go to 11, then you're really disappointed.
Yeah, or right now you're being faced with, I don't think customer success is any value to our organization. But what are you talking about?
Right.
How are we any different? Can you tell me what that means? But you come back and say, okay, but look, we did deliver 35 customer success leads, either opportunities or leads to the sales team. Well, that's a whole different conversation. But you have to want to start tracking and having that operational rigor, or no one else is going to do it for you. This is no different than you're asking your customers to track their results with the system that you're trying to help them use. You have to do it.
So you mentioned like handing those when you find an opportunity, you find a lead, you hand that back to sales.
Yep.
How do you facilitate a good hand back
Yep.
to make sure because it's all fine and dandy if you find these opportunities, but if they don't turn into revenue, then you never really get credit for them someday. So
Yeah.
how do you hand it
No.
back successfully?
Yeah. So I think again, that's where in the past I've worked with some really great RevOps people and colleagues. And so we worked in the system that they worked in, the sales team. So while we worked in a different system than our sales team, we made sure to get the email over. Then we also facilitated where we could have opportunities auto created out of what we had sent over that were put in the name of the salesperson. And so then they started to be part of their pipeline that they had to speak about to their leadership. And so it all comes down to, like you said, accountability and visibility.
Yeah, it's like good process combined with good systems with the right
Yes.
intentions,
And
right? You can get that.
camaraderie.
And
Yeah.
camaraderie, exactly. Because
Mm.
if I'm like, skeptical of sales, which a lot of people are, and
Yeah.
sometimes for good reason,
Yeah.
um, I might be nervous to let my seller into my trusted relationship, right? I've done all of this work to build this trusted advisor relationship. So
Yeah.
if you had to make the case for why and how you should hand back to sales,
Mhm.
what does that look like from a trusted advisor kind of role?
You know, I guess for me, I always used to have to say to my team at the end of the day, why we take so much pride in our customers and our relationships, these customers are actually the companies, right? And so we have to take a step back as much work as we have put in, and we have to allow that process to take place and trust in it. In addition to that, create relationships internally as well as externally. You're so good at creating relationships with your customers. We have to do the same thing to our counterparts in sales and marketing and operations. You have to work really hard at that. And that's where you have to create for yourself that safe space. And you and your colleague have to do that together. And if
The
you can't, then you need to get your team involved, your leadership involved to help facilitate the next steps to making that happen.
You said something that kinda just blew my mind. This idea of, like, the skills and the talents that we've developed to create these external relationships,
Mhm.
turning them in on our own organization, like, that never really occurred to me that you could take everything you've learned about building great relationships and becoming a trusted advisor to your customer and
Yes.
pivot that right around to be a trusted advisor to your sales team in that way. And I think a lot of us are not thinking of our skill sets and our talents as something that will help us build that same bridge internally.
Yep. Think that's really where I have personally seen my success is creating as many relationships externally as I do or excuse me, internally as I do externally.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are missing on that internal part, right? They're so focused on that external customer view.
Yeah.
They forget that there's an entire other side of and the organism that we're all dealing with here of sales, customer success, and marketing all
Mhm.
coexisting and collaborating in this environment.
Well, and you have to work that much harder, right? Because we have a lot of people that aren't in the office anymore. So it's really easy to
Oh,
not
yeah.
cultivate those relationships because you're not seeing them in the cafeteria at lunch, or you're not able to just walk over to their desk. So for me, it was literally making sure that I had catch ups with people on a monthly basis. Obviously, people that I work closer with, it was weekly. It was making sure that I knew what was going on in their lives as opposed to just talking about business. It's just cultivating those relationships to help the greater good of what you're trying to achieve with your customers. When you have that trust, it's a lot easier to like throw things over and be like, hey, go close this. I know they've got it. We talked about it.
What do you think is the biggest blind spot that leaders are missing today?
Ooh, that's a good one, Alyssa. I don't know. The biggest blind spot. Let me think about that. I think the biggest blind spot, but this is just me speaking from my own experience, is just really, really good transparency from the top down. And what I mean by that is there's because we have become such a decentralized workforce, there's a lot of issues that I've seen with just being transparent about what are our goals, what are we doing, what are we trying to achieve, and really making sure that everybody is on the same page. And when you I was in an organization where we were almost there. We were like ready to hum and just go big. And all of the sudden, decisions were made that I think if there had been more transparency and conversation between the people actually doing the work and those that were sitting up at the top, I think different decisions probably could have been made for the better. And we would be in a really different position than we are today. But as a result of just like passing between two ships passing in the night and getting everyone involved. And this means that, like, I don't care if you're the CEO, have conversations with your employees. I don't care if you're the CTO, have conversations with your employees and really get that viewpoint from everyone's perspective before making the decision. So I think for me, it just comes to coming down to transparency. And maybe that's the wrong word.
No, I think it is the right word. One of the things that I work from home too, so right. So like don't get me wrong, I love working from home. It's going to be hard for me to ever go back to an office. But one of the things I've noticed is that I have to work twice as hard to not be silent on anything because silence or the perception of silence just breeds the worst case scenario.
Yep.
If people don't hear from you, they're going to assume whatever preconceived notions that they have. And that might not even be preconceived notions from you. It might be past work experiences or past life experiences that they're going to start projecting onto you simply because you didn't say anything.
Agreed. I think you're right. I think it is hard, but then you also don't want to be that person on Zoom who's like cutting people off or
Right.
stepping on toes. And so we're trying to, tiptoe around really to what is the etiquette, right?
Right.
Not speaking too much because then you're just speaking to be heard and not speaking not enough because then you're not heard at all. It's just trying to find that balance. But in doing that, again, I think it doesn't always have to be in a big scenario. Take the time to really talk to your people.
Yeah. I love that. Katie, who else is out there? Who is leading the charge? Who should we be listening to? Who is changing the way we build relationships with customers?
Gosh, I thought about this from all different perspectives, just from like big box of like who has changed my life as a mom of triplet daughters and saving me time. And it's probably controversial, but for me, when it comes to the way of customers or doing great with customers, I gotta say, Bezos with Amazon is doing some great things just from a big box perspective and saving me time and making it really easy for me to just find what I need when I need it and not even having to leave my house. That's probably not very popular, but I was thinking to myself, wow, it just all works. I don't know how it all works, but it just does. It's kind of amazing. I think that I've modeled for businesses I've worked for the whole Apple Genius Bar. I think that just making sure that you're available for people to be successful using your technology. I just love that whole thing that they've set up. That's been very valuable to me. I recently just launched my own consulting business. So when I think about with a colleague, her name's Kristen Hallis, when I think about kind of the yin and yang of working with customers, this is the person who is the consummate player coach in her role and has taken on tons of customers and somehow, manages her life and manages writing the ships of customers that we're going to step off of churn, which has been really fun to watch and why I'm like, okay, we've got to do something with this. Um, so I don't know. I think about customer experiences all the time. And what is a good one? I mean, every day I think I'm saying something to my husband. This is a really poor one, and this could have been a lot better, and this is what I would change. So yeah, but I think that's just naturally who we are, right, Alyssa? Because we're the ones that are always looking for how to do it better. My
Exactly.
favorite quote by Maya Angelou is do the very best you can until you know better. Once you know better, do better. And I think that's kind of what we're all always trying to do. Those of us in that post sale is just continue to figure out how to do better and do it.
Those are great answers. I love the 2 comments that you made about Amazon and Apple in particular is, look, Amazon just works. And isn't that what we all want from the
Yes.
solutions that we pay for? Like, I just
Yes.
want it to work the way it needs to work for me. I'm not asking for anything more or anything else, just
Yeah.
work, right? But
Yeah.
then
Even if I
also
don't have something that I like,
right.
it's okay. I can return it. Like they're not like, well, why? Well, I'm going to make you do 15 clicks before you can. Oh, it just works. Sorry, didn't
It
mean to cut
just
you
works.
off
No, no, no,
there.
you're 100% right. But then the Apple Genius Bar thing is sometimes just being available for your
Yeah.
customers is
Mhm.
a huge hurdle that people seem to have. But it
Yeah.
works for Apple Genius Bar because they are just there when you need them. You can walk into a store and say, "I need help, help me." And you will at
Yes.
least get someone to attempt to help you. Even if it's not the solution you're looking for,
They
at
will
least
try.
there's someone trying to help you.
Mhm. Yes. Which I think that leads us into another conversation we could have that's been a big one lately, which is what's going to happen with that with AI? I think that there's always going to need to be humans there because at the end of the day, I've been trying out some AI chats and it's not going so well.
No, I'm a big believer that brands are really, really poorly rolling out their AI stuff right now. And I think that AI is your brand new brand ambassador. And a lot of
Yep.
companies are rolling out a brand new face
Brand
of the
ambassador.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your
Hmm.
face. It's the face of your company now. When I go to your website and the first thing I do is open up the chat and I talk to a robot who doesn't
Yeah.
know anything. That
Very
just tells
frustrating.
me that your company doesn't know anything. And I'm
Yeah.
nervous about using you because if your AI chatbot on your own website can't talk about you
Yeah.
effectively, then what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So that's a God, that's a whole nother podcast that we
Okay,
don't
so
have
let's
time to
bring it
get
all back to
into.
customer success, right? You have all
Yeah.
these people who have, not been getting the best treatment, if you will, but they're all out there judging, if you will, these customer experiences. And these are the people that want to help you change it. So don't discount them because they will help you drive retention and growth and, do what needs to be done to make sure you're successful. So
Katie, if someone is really connecting with you, they want to learn more, they want to talk about your consulting business, where can they find you online?
yes. So LinkedIn, Katie Yagodnik. I recognize that it's a very fun last name. It's just like you got it, Yagodnik. So on LinkedIn, you can look me up on SSEadvisors.com. That's meaning or stands for speaking from experience, advisors.com. And Katie Yagodnik, Yagodnik at SSEadvisors.com.
Awesome. I will put the links to all of those destinations in our show notes so that people can get in touch easily. Katie, thank you so much for joining me. This was a
You're
really
welcome.
great conversation.
Ditto. Such pleasure, Alyssa. Have a good one.